Communication is key, right? Well, we need it in our households, in the workplace, and even with strangers who we interact with. So how do we make sure we're doing it in a way that's clear and respectful?
Jennifer Eisenreich is sharing some ways we can communicate a little more effectively this year. This is after we just talked about positive and negative gossip.
No one loves positive gossip. I thought it was a cool idea,
You know, a lot of people do struggle, though, with communication. It seems at its very core something that we are built to do. We're built to talk to each other and communicate with each other.
Well, a lot of people talk, but not a lot of people communicate. And it's something that we think is an instinct, but it's actually a skill that we need to practice, and it's one that we need to develop as we get older because we don't always get better at it. Sometimes we just fall into really destructive habits.
Yeah, so what are some of the things that we can do to communicate better? And what is it? Like, what are we doing wrong?
Well, communication is all about listening, and it's about finding out the other person's point of view. So a conversation isn't just me hearing you and shooting something back and thinking of what to say. It's really about active listening and engaging the other person and connecting with them. So one of the things that we do is jump to conclusions. It's the best exercise that some of us actually get. But we jump to conclusions without knowing exactly what the other person is talking about. So one of the things we need to do a lot more is ask questions. Did you ever get a text that feels a little bit off and you're thinking like, well, what did they mean by that? So a really good thing to say if you're unsure about where someone is going, either in a conversation or in a text, is tell me more about that, or tell me a little bit more. It works for everything. It lets you know the person's intent, and it also finds out more information to extend the conversation and figure out what's going on.
You mentioned that there are some destructive habits that we continue to keep up and that we need to practice getting away from them. What are some of those destructive habits that we do? Is it not listening?
One of them is not listening. Another one is when we're using digital communication, which is always. It's so fast and easy and convenient that we just kind of dash off a little thought without giving any really thought about the impact that it's going to have to the other person. So taking our time when we communicate, maybe taking a few seconds before we answer a question, and making sure that we understand what the other person is saying. Again, saying, tell me more about that, is the best thing to do to really make sure that the other person is understood. It makes them feel great.
Yeah, okay, so this is part of someone's New Year resolution to communicate better. Just break it down, simple tips that someone can start today to help them be a more effective communicator.
The first one is listening. Listening is the superhero of all of the communication skills. Actually listening, looking at the person when they're speaking, making sure that we put our devices down, actively engaging with the conversation, asking questions, and letting them know that we're really there for them. If I had one tip to give, it would be ask more questions in the new year. It'll make you such a better communicator, and it'll make you feel better as a person.
Yeah. We all know that person that talks too much about themselves, but it is nice to add in little anecdotes that might help in that conversation.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there are people who just like to go on, and they can extend a story with the most incredible details and the most unnecessary details, and you find yourself just zoning out because the conversation just keeps going. So yeah, asking them a question can keep you entertained while they're talking, and it can get your spin on it too. So you can interject yourself by saying like, oh, this is something that happened to me one time, and it's, it relates to you, and maybe it can get a little bit more of the focus off of them.
All right. Oh, I love this. Really just giving someone your full undivided attention when they're talking.
It's such a lost skill.
Yeah.
Paying attention, asking questions, and just figuring out who people are.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here today.
All right. To find out more about Shift Show Communication and Jennifer's other work, we'll link you up on our website, kdka.com/talkpittsburgh.